Hey guys, it's the Chad, your C10 truck nerd. A while back I picked up this 1971 Chevy C10 that we call Bluey. Now the paint on this old girl, it's looking pretty bad. Somewhere in her life she got one of those $99 Mako or Earl Scheib paint jobs and it's starting to flake off and look pretty dull. Well, in today's video I want to go through and see if we can get any shine out of this old paint. And to do it, we're going to be testing out this Meguiar's Ultimate Compound and Ultimate Polish. Well, a few episodes back, we went through and gave Bluey one of my professional driveway detail jobs. Now, the paint on her was really chalky and oxidized, so instead of starting with some compound and a polishing wheel, I got pretty aggressive and went with my favorite, the old SOS soap-filled steel wool pads. I worked my way all the way around the truck and took a lot of that oxidation off. But if you have decent single-stage paint or any type of clear coat, I definitely wouldn't be using steel wool on it. I'd start with a compound or a polish. Now, if you guys aren't real familiar with any of these products, steel wool is going to be the most aggressive on your paint, then compound or a rubbing compound, and then a finishing polish. After you use any of these materials, you need to go through and top coat the paint or the paint job with some type of wax. So when it comes time for me to clean up one of these nasty old trucks, I usually use the same materials, my Turtle Wax polishing compound and Meguiar's cleaner wax. A few weeks ago, one of my buddies asked me, hey, would you be interested in testing out that Meguiar's Ultimate Compound and Ultimate Polish? And I was kind of like, no, because why change when something's working? But I am a big fan of Meguiar's. It has the word Ultimate in it, and you can pick it up at Amazon, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, or any other local parts stores. So I figured, why not give it a whirl? So before we get started, I'm going to need a few materials. First off, the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound and Polish, a damp rag, and we'll be utilizing my Makita Power Polisher today. If you don't own one of these, see if you can borrow one from a friend or think about renting it because it's going to save you a ton of time. Not to say you can't do the entire truck by hand, but you'll be smoked the time you're finished. Now, the first thing I want to test out is the Ultimate Polish on one side of the hood and the Ultimate Compound on the other, just to see how they go head to head first off. So let's try that. So the first thing I do is go through and shake this polish or compound vigorously. You have no idea how long it's been sitting on the shelf and that water and the material kind of separates. So we'll do that. Then I'll go through and get my damp rag and take the Chad-proof liquid stopper off and go from there. So I'm going to put a little bit of polish on this rag, and I like to go through and rub this on about a 2 foot by 2 foot area. That way this compound or polish can't dry up on me before I hit it with the wheel. So once I get a couple foot area spread out, I go through and grab my power polisher or buffer. I stick it on about a 45-degree angle on edge, put the RPM to low to medium, and I work it back and forth. Now, it doesn't really matter if you go front to back or side to side, but I try to stay in the same direction. Now when I put the wheel onto the paint, I apply about medium pressure. If you're too light, you really aren't doing anything. If you're too aggressive, you may dig into that paint and start burning it off. So just a little bit of trial and error. All right, so I've got the left side of the hood done with the compound. Haven't touched the right side yet, so you can see there is definitely some sheen there. It's not spectacular, but it is shiny. Next, I want to go through and hit the polish on the right side and compare the two. Well, one thing I failed to mention, if you're going to be going from a compound to a polish or a polish to a wax, you definitely want to go through and change your buffing pad. That way you don't have all the abrasives from the compound moving to the polish or the polish moving to the wax. Kind of defeats the purpose. So I've gone through and applied the polish, and I can most definitely see that the compound has really brought out a lot more shine. than just using the polish. Now what I want to test is going through and putting the polish on top of where I already used the compound and see if that makes it even shinier. Now on the left side, I've gone through and put the ultimate polish over where I already buffed the ultimate compound, and it's brought out a lot more sheen than just using the polish. So I think that's a pretty good improvement. But I think I'm just gonna go through and go ahead and compound the rest of the truck, then polish it, and see how it turns out. Like I told you guys before, you got to be pretty careful using this compound and one of these powered polishers, because I got a little too aggressive here on the radius of this fender and I burned right through the paint. Now the cool thing is, I buy junk trucks and most of them have bad paint, so I don't consider this a burn. I just created a little bit of patina. Sweet. Well, I was going to go through and time-lapse me buffing the entire truck, but there's really no need to bore you guys, and I think it might rain soon. Now, I just finished the whole front clip, and I gotta tell you, it turned out really shiny. Show quality? Absolutely not. Presentable? I mean, if I scoot that camera back about 10 foot, it would look really good. Now, after you guys go through and polish or use compound, you always need to follow it up and protect the paint with some type of wax. Now, I always choose to use Meguiar's cleaner wax because it's good and it's cheap. So I'm gonna go through and wax the whole rest of the truck if it doesn't rain. Did you guys hear the other day that Willie Nelson got hit by a truck? That's horrible. I guess they say he was playing on the road again. Not bad. Well guys, we've done it. I made it all the way around this entire truck using the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound and Ultimate Polish. I've got to say, I am pretty impressed with the results. I did not think it would bring any shine out of this old junky paint, but here it is. Now, would I use the word ultimate for this stuff? Probably not. It is good, but I think there's better compounds and polishes out there. They just come at a way bigger price tag. Myself, I will definitely be switching over to this ultimate stuff. It is way better than the turtle wax polishing compound that I've been swearing by for years, so I'm glad I tested it out. But I would like to know what your guys' thoughts are. If you've used this stuff, how did it come out? And do you think there's better stuff out there for the money? Well, if so, type down in the old clickety-clack, and while you're there, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you guys would be interested in any of the products that I used today, I'll put links down in the description below. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.